Everyone is riding a massive wave of optimism about the AI. Investors are thrilled, and tech executives are grinning like they just discovered a literal cheat code for capitalism. But behind all of this dazzling hype and unbridled optimism, is AI actually profitable? If we look past the glossy marketing slides and look directly at the balance sheets, the entire optimism completely falls apart. OpenAI, the poster child of the AI boom, generated an impressive $4.3 billion in revenue during the first half of 2025, while simultaneously posting an eye-watering $7.8 billion operating loss. Meanwhile, regular companies trying to adopt AI are panicking. Desperate to please their shareholders, they've been frantically shoving half-baked, glitchy AI features into their existing products. The result? They aren't printing money either. They're mostly recording financial losses because running these complex models costs a fortune, and consumers are flat out refusing to pay extra for them. If this entire situation feels deeply familiar to you, that's because we've seen this exact scenario play out before. Back in the late 90s, it was called the .com Bubble. To understand how we got back here, we have to look at what happened when the original internet economy imploded. On the rise of the internet in the late 90s, Wall Street went into a speculative frenzy over any company that simply added a .com to its name. Investors blindly poured billions of dollars of venture capital into unviable startups without looking at their actual business models, causing the NASDAQ index to skyrocket by 86% in 1999 alone. It was a classic case of excessive growth completely outpacing real-world market demand. The market simply wasn't ready, and when the Federal Reserve aggressively hiked interest rates in early 2000, the fragile illusion shattered. The aftermath was an absolute bloodbath. By October 2002, the crash had plummeted the NASDAQ index by a staggering 77% from its all-time peak, sending iconic tech companies into bankruptcy and leaving hundreds of thousands of highly skilled workers suddenly unemployed. Curiously, the AI situation today is eerily similar, but honestly, it's a whole lot weirder, which begs the question, is the great AI bubble about to pop? Or are we dealing with an entirely different kind of financial monster? If the AI bubble does collapse, it will likely be driven by three distinct, highly volatile factors that mirror the ghost of the .com past. Financial speculation. The first factor is shameless financial speculation. Right now, AI software companies are losing massive amounts of money, but their stock prices are soaring because the tech industry has designed a literal financial circle jerk ecosystem. Look closely at the back-end agreements between OpenAI, Oracle, and Nvidia. OpenAI signs a massive 5-year, $300 billion cloud computing contract from Oracle to actually deliver the massive 4.5 gigawatts of computing capacity required for that contract. Oracle has aggressively scaled its infrastructure spending by purchasing $40 billion worth of Nvidia's next-generation flagship AI microchips. And to close the cash loop, Oracle and Nvidia reinvest their massive profits back into OpenAI to prop up its valuation. This insular, artificial round tripping allows everyone's stock to skyrocket simultaneously. But it's an ecosystem built on a house of cards. If that circle game is ever interrupted by a sudden lack of real-world organic revenue from actual paying customers, the downward correction will be incredibly harsh. The data center frenzy. The second factor is our reckless race toward excessive infrastructure. In the 90s, companies invested over $500 billion to lay millions of miles of fiber optic cables that mostly sat completely dark and unused even until now. Today, the tech industry is racing to build massive data centers at an unprecedented pace, with Bank of America projecting the AI data center market to hit an astronomical $1.7 trillion by 2030. But unlike passive fiber optic cables, data centers are demanding, resource-hungry power hogs. They don't just sit there, they require massive, dedicated energy flows just to keep operating. US data center electricity demand is projected to surge from roughly 4.4% of total consumption up to a staggering 12% of the entire nation's power grid by 2028. Building new power grids to handle this massive new demand is mind-blowingly slow and expensive. So rather than waiting, the tech industry's only solution is to essentially plug these power-guzzling data centers into our current aging energy systems. Doing this will trigger a severe, unavoidable clash of interests, putting massive tech conglomerates in direct competition for electricity against regular businesses and your daily household energy needs. Building massive infrastructure is fantastic when an industry is growing organically, but if this data center hype dies down before actual consumer demand shows up, the investors left holding those trillion-dollar utility bills are going to get completely screwed. Markets are not ready. The third and most glaring factor is that the product and the market simply aren't ready for each other. When the dot-com bubble burst in 2000, global internet penetration was sitting at a meager 6% of the world's population. Today, generative AI adoption looks much better on paper, but the core issue isn't only access, it's also what we're actually doing with AI. Tech executives built their entire financial forecasts on the lofty expectation that AI would trigger a massive wave of global productivity, writing flawless code or uncovering cures for complex diseases overnight. Instead, the vast majority of daily AI usage is entirely unproductive. We are literally burning through millions of gallons of clean water and megawatt hours of electricity just to generate deepfake videos of politicians singing pop songs or to render silly images of cats. While a tiny percentage of meaningful productivity use cases certainly exist, the overwhelming majority of AI traffic is completely useless fluff that generates close to zero economic value. So let's take a step back and summarize the board. We have an ecosystem fueled by circular artificial stock pumping, a reckless overbuild of power-hungry data centers threatening our energy grids, and a consumer market that primarily uses this multi-billion-dollar technology to generate memes rather than actual economic value. Will these three factors cause history to repeat itself? Honestly, it's highly likely. Now, to be absolutely fair, this isn't a definitive doomsday prophecy. Technology rarely disappears completely when a financial bubble bursts. After all, Amazon and the actual internet survived the year 2000 and fundamentally changed the world anyway. The problem is the aftermath. When an asset bubble of this historic trillion-dollar magnitude finally collapses, the economic collateral damage to regular workers, public retirement funds, and global infrastructure will be far more devastating than anything we saw 25 years ago. The bill for all this artificial hype is eventually going to arrive. We just have to hope the global economy can actually afford to pay it.